Shalom, welcome to Tactically Torah. I am Heath Hayes. Today is day 64 of Read the Bible in a Year. And we are in Deuteronomy, and we're going to read chapters 17, 18, and 19. Let's get started. Do not slaughter to Yahweh your Elohim a bull or sheep which has any blemish, any evil matter, for that is an abomination to Yahweh your Elohim. When there is found in your midst, in any of your cities which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you, a man or a woman who does what is evil in the eyes of Yahweh your Elohim, in transgressing his covenant, and has gone and served other mighty ones and bowed down to them, or the sun or the moon or any host of the heavens which I have not commanded, and that has been made known to you, and you have heard, and you have searched diligently, then see if true. The matter is confirmed that such an abomination has been done in Israel. If it's true, then you shall bring out to your gates that man or that woman who has done this evil matter. You shall stone to death that man or woman with stones. At the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses shall he that is to die be put to death. He is not put to death by the mouth of one witness. The hand of the witnesses shall be first against him to put him to death, and the hand of the people last. So you shall purge the evil from your midst. When any matter arises which is too hard for you to judge between blood, and plea and plea, or between stroke and stroke, matters of strife within your gates, then you shall rise and go up to the place which Yahweh your Elohim chooses, and shall come to the priests and the Levites and the judge who is in those days, and shall inquire. And they shall declare to you the word of right ruling. And you shall do according to the word which they declare to you from that place which Yahweh chooses, and you shall guard to do according to all that they instruct you. Do according to the Torah in which they teach you, according to the right ruling which they say to you. You do not turn to the right or to the left from the word which they declare to you. And the man who acts arrogantly so is not to listen to the priest who stands to serve there before Yahweh your Elohim, or to judge, that man shall die. So you shall purge the evil from Israel, and let all the people hear and fear, and no longer do arrogantly. When you come to the land which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you, and shall possess it, and shall dwell in it, and you shall say, let me set a sovereign over me like all the nations that are around me, and you shall certainly set a sovereign over you, whom Yahweh your Elohim shall choose. Set a sovereign over you among your brothers. You are not allowed to set a foreigner over you who is not your brother. Only he is not to increase horses for himself, nor cause the people to return to Mitzrayim to increase horses, for Yahweh has said to you, do not return that way again. And he is not to increase wives for himself, lest his heart turn away, nor is he to greatly increase silver and gold for himself. And it shall be, when he sits on the throne of his reign, that he shall write for himself a copy of this Torah in a book, from the one before the priests, the Levites. And it shall be with him, and he shall read it all the days of his life, so that he learns to fear Yahweh his Elohim, and guard all the words of this Torah and these laws to do them, so that his heart is not lifted up above his brothers, and so as not to turn aside from the command right or to the left, so that he prolongs his days in his reign, he and his children in the midst of Israel, the priests and the Levites and all the tribe of Levi, have no part nor inheritance with Israel. I'm sorry, chapter 18. That last verse was the beginning of chapter 18. They are to eat the offerings of Yahweh made by fire, and his inheritance. But among his brothers, Levi has no inheritance. Yahweh is his inheritance, as he has spoken to him. And this is the priest's right from the people. From those who slaughter a slaughtering, whether it is bull or sheep, they shall give to the priests the shoulder, and the 2 cheeks, and the stomach, and the first fruits of your grain, and your new wine, and your oil, and the first of the fleece of your sheep, you give to him. For Yahweh your Elohim has chosen him out of all your tribes to stand, to serve in the name of Yahweh, him and his sons forever. And when the Levite comes from one of your gates, from where he has sojourned among all Israel, and shall come with all the desire of his being to place which Yahweh chooses, then he shall serve in the name of Yahweh his Elohim like all his brothers, the Levites who are standing there before Yahweh. They are to have a portion for portion to eat, besides what comes from the sale of his inheritance. When you come into the land which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you, do not learn to do according to the abominations of those nations. Let no one be found among you who makes his son or his daughter pass through the fire, or one who practices divination, or a user of magic, or one who interprets omens, or a sorcerer, or one who conjures spells, or a medium, or a spiritist, or one who calls up the dead. For whoever does these is an abomination to Yahweh, and because of these abominations, Yahweh your Elohim drives them out from before you. Be perfect before Yahweh your Elohim, for these nations whom you are possessing do listen to those using magic and to diviners. But as for you, Yahweh your Elohim has not appointed such for you. Yahweh your Elohim shall rise up for you a prophet like me from your midst, from your brothers. Listen to him. According to all you asked of Yahweh your Elohim in Horeb in the day of the assembly, saying, let me not hear again the voice of Yahweh my Elohim, nor let me see this great fire any more, lest I die. And Yahweh said to me, what they have spoken is good. I shall raise up for them a prophet like you out of the midst of their brothers, and I shall put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak to them all that I commanded him. That's speaking of Yeshua, by the way. And it shall be when the man who does not listen to my words, which he speaks in my name, I require it of him. Now, naturally, there are prophets who did all of these things out of the midst of Israel. Super cool. Still a prophecy of Yeshua. But the prophet who presumes to speak a word in my name which I have not commanded him to speak, or one who speaks in the name of other mighty ones, even that prophet shall die. And when you shall say in your heart, how do we know the word which Yahweh has not spoken? When the prophet speaks in the name of Yahweh and the word is not, or comes not, that is a word which Yahweh has not spoken. The prophet has spoken it presumptuously. Do not be afraid of him. Chapter 19. When Yahweh your Elohim cuts off the nations whose land Yahweh your Elohim is giving you, and you dispossess them, and dwell in their cities and in their houses, separate 3 cities for yourself in the midst of your land, which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you to possess. Prepare a way for yourself, and divide into 3 parts the border of your land, which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you to inherit, that any manslayer, shall flee there. In this matter of the manslayer who flees there and lives, he who strikes his neighbor unknowingly, not having hated him in time past, even he who goes to the forest with his neighbor to cut timber, and his hand swings a stroke with the axe to cut down the tree, and the head slips from the handle and strikes his neighbor so that he dies. Let him flee to one of these cities and live, lest the Redeemer of blood, while his displeasure is hot, pursue the manslayer and overtake him, because the way is long. And shall strike his being, though he was not worthy of death, since he had not hated him before. Speaking of an accidental killing. Therefore I am commanding you, saying, separate 3 cities for yourself. And if Yahweh your Elohim enlarges your border as he swore to your fathers and has given you the land which he has promised to give to your fathers, when you guard all this command to do it, which I am commanding you today, to love Yahweh your Elohim and to walk in his ways all the days, then you shall add 3 more cities for yourself, besides these 3, so that innocent blood is not shed in the midst of your land, which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you as an inheritance, or blood guilt shall be upon you. But when anyone hates his neighbor, and shall lie in wait for him and rise against him and strike his being so that he dies, then he shall flee to one of those cities. And the elders of his city shall send and bring him from there, and give him to the hand of the Redeemer of blood, and he shall die. Your eyes shall not pardon him, but you shall purge the blood of the innocent from Israel, so that it might be well with you. Do not remove your neighbor's boundary, which those in the past have set, in your inheritance which you inherit in the land that Yahweh your Elohim has given you to possess. One witness does not rise up against a man concerning any crookedness or any sin that he commits. At the mouth of 2 witnesses, or at the mouth of 3 witnesses, a matter is established. When a malicious witness rises up against any man to accuse him of turning aside, then both men who have the dispute shall stand before Yahweh, before the priests and the judges who serve in those days, and the judges shall diligently search and see if the witness is a false witness who has falsely accused his brother. Then you shall do to him as he thought to have done to his brother. Thus you shall purge the evil from your midst, and let the rest hear and fear, and never again do this evil matter in your midst. And let your eye not pardon, life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot. Real quick, guys. So that completes our reading. I want to run this over with you real quick. If you recall, Yeshua, there's the woman who was brought before Yeshua who committed adultery. The Torah is clear in speaking that if there is an adulterous one, if a woman commits adultery, you do not just bring the woman, you bring the man as well. They're complicit. And they're both, if they're tried as guilty, they're to be put to death. So the people and the elders, they brought this woman before Yeshua and asked him to judge on the matter. And it says in Deuteronomy 19:18, and the judges shall diligently search and see if the witness is a false witness who has falsely accused his brother. If it is a false witness, then you shall do to him as he thought to have done to his brother. They wanted that woman killed. And see, whenever Yeshua, he started to write in the sand, I'm willing to bet that he was writing this. He's like, you sure about that? You sure you want me to judge on this? Because the Torah states that you're supposed to bring the man too. Therefore, making this a false witness issue here. And the whole idea that we've just read on is, they're supposed to be stoned with stones. Hence the verbiage of Yeshua saying to the crowd, like, okay, well, he who is without sin cast the first stone. Because by bringing the woman alone, they were in sin, casting judgment upon her as a false witness. And thus, in completing or not fully completing the Torah that is commanded to bring both the man and the woman before the judge, right? So, whenever Yeshua did that, he's like, you sure you want me to cast judgment on this? Because you wish her to be dead? You want me to kill you? See, because whenever the elders, when he said, he who is without sin cast the first stone, the elders, they realized, oh crap, he's right. We should probably boogie, get out of here. So they dropped their stones. And then he says, woman, where are your accusers? Go and sin no more. So the entire idea is like, yeah, maybe she was an adulteress. She was absolutely forgiven. But at the same point, Yeshua, he combated the word with the completeness of the word. There's checks and balances here, and there's room for us to move and operate within safety of the word. So I just wanted that to be brought to your attention. It's pretty cool. Shalom.